Good afternoon, viewers from around the world. Welcome to a news insight. On this insight, we are taking a journey on the uncertainty that is surrounding the Nigerian electoral process 2026-2027. Afenifere blots INEC, ADC Derecognition and ambush on democracy. The Pan-Yoruba group has taken a swipe on INEC on the ongoing political crisis rocking the now major opposition political party in Nigeria, the Action Democratic Congress. In looking at their view and their position and their stand on what is happening, we are going to bring you stories that strikes at the very heart of Nigeria's democratic process, a crisis unfolding within the opposition political parties that could have ramifications far-reaching beyond political lines as this affects Nigerians and into the broader landscapes of governance and public trust. It is no news that the Pan-Yoruba socio-political organization, the Afenifere, has taken a swipe on the derecognition of the NWC caretaker committee of the ADC. The Independent National Electoral Commission has made a controversial decision that has sent shockwaves across the length and breadth of Nigeria. It has refused to recognize the current executives of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, one of Nigeria's key political opposition parties, effectively sidelining its leadership that was duly constituted. Let us not forget that the caretaker committee of NDC was duly constituted under the watch and supervision of INEC, led by Yakub Mohammed, the former INEC chairman, who was replaced by Josh Amoputen. This particular leadership torso that has greeted the ADC, which in my own view, the leading opposition political party in Nigeria, has raised a lot of questions than answers. And is that answer we are looking at and also allowing the viewers and Nigerians to make their informed decision and choice. Let us understand also that this time is very critical in the organization of any political party, given the INEC timetable that is very, very short. It's very, very short, the INEC timetable. As we know, during the passage of the now 2026 Electoral Act, electoral law, that the INEC timetable have shifted. The elections will be holding in Nigeria come January 2027. This decision, sudden and seemingly unilateral as it seems, has been described by critics, especially the Afenifere, as an ambush against democracy itself. A move that could disenfranchise members of the public, that is Nigerians, and also reshape the balance of political competition ahead of the 2027 general elections. Amongst the strongest opposition voices that is coming from the Pan-Yoruba socio-political organization, the Afenifere, who is being led by Oladipo Olaitan. As you could recall, Olaitan took over after the demise of his name eludes me now, but I think that will come, may God rest his soul. The one that canvassed for the Labour Party presidential candidate in the name of Peter Obi. So Olaitan has taken over from him as the substantive chairman or president of the Afenifere. Speaking from Lagos, Olaitan did not mince words. He called out INEC's decision as a calculated attack on democratic participation, warning that the timing and nature of the move could prevent party members from participating in elections, party congresses, and all whatnot, all the activities that happen cumulating into the election itself because of the INEC timetable and the line of events that leads for parties candidates to emerge. The membership can even attempt to regularize their membership or transfer from one political platform to another. This can really deter and discourage citizens from aligning and realigning with any political party of their choice, which is, after all, their constitutional and electoral right. Moving forward on this unfolding event that is very sad, and we are looking through these particular stories on also a sober day, which is the Good Friday, when Christians all over the world to be sober in trying to commemorate the sufferings that accumulated into the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. As if is the mood in the Christendom is also reflecting the mood in the Nigerian political space, especially among the opposition adherents. He stressed, we are talking about the chairman or president of Afenifere, Oladipo Olaitan. He stressed that the ongoing legal battles could delay any resolution until after critical registration deadlines, also convention deadlines for parties to submit the list and names of their candidates, leaving ordinary Nigerians without meaningful representations. And you know that the accusation has been, whether founded or unfounded, or the one Nigerians call being alleged, is that the government in power, led by APC, is fighting tooth and nail, according to the way they say it in Nigeria, for no other credible opposition to stand on their way come 2027 general elections. We could see what happened to the PDP, which have been a strong force in Nigeria, the party that prided herself as the largest political party in Africa, and who once boasted that they will rule Nigeria for 60 years. The rest that happened to them is history. This is what the APC seems to be, the line they seems to be towing at this moment. At the center of this crisis are high-profile figures within the ADC, including no less a person than the former Senate President, David Mark. We recall David Mark. If David Mark is not remembered for anything in history, he should be remembered by Nigerians who are students of history for killing the third-term agenda of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, though we know that Olusegun Obasanjo has denied this over time again, but this story and this intention that he allegedly wanted to foster on Nigerians is not going away anytime soon. So this is a country where we find ourselves, where leaders cannot own up with their full chest of things they have done. We are talking about the former Senate president, who is now the chairman of ADC, Senator David Mark, and the party's national secretary, Ogbeni Rauf Arebeshola. And Nigerians, you recall that Arebeshola has been a bosom friend of the sitting president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That President Bola Ahmed Tinubu once said that even when he's sleeping in his bedroom, that if his aides or even his wife and children see Arebeshola walking into his room with a knife, by his hand or his hands, that they should not stop him because he knows Arebeshola will not harm him. This is somebody that the president once voted for. And the president played a significant role in Arebeshola winning election in Osun State. Is it Osun or Ogun State? And again, Arebeshola also played a vital role in the president forming the APC as of 2018, 2014, 2015, if my memory serves me right. Arebeshola, recall, is the national secretary of the ADC. Their leadership recognized and active until recently, when this political legal dispute, political quagmire, and the political imbroglio enveloped the ADC shelter, has been erased from the Commission's official records. That's their website. This goes to tell us that the names of Arebeshola and David Mark and other principal officers of the caretaker or the interim working national committee of ADC has been expunged, erased, excluded from the INEC portal, their website that recognizes all political parties, chairmen, or political parties executives as they are constituted. This approach has threatened to undermine the credibility of the electoral process itself, as remarked by Olaito, who expressed fear that the procedural technicalities are being widened as instrument of political exclusion and political vendetta. And of course, all these strong words from the chairman of Afenifere is going to know other persons than the APC and the government in power. At the center of the crisis are these two gentlemen, David Mark and Rauf Arebeshola. INEC has justified this decision by pointing to internal disputes and the conflicting legal claims, presenting its stance as a neutral response pending definite judicial resolution. Yet many in the opposition see the move as biased. They see it as anything but neutral. That means the umpire is now a partial judge instead of being an impartial judge. The opposition and the Nigerians contend that it is part of a broader strategy to primitively weaken potential challengers ahead of 2027 general elections that will determine the country's political trajectory for years to come. what we are trying to say here is that all fingers pointing to APC and the Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led government. And the question will be, why is APC jittery? And why is Mr. President uncomfortable with the coming together of the opposition political leaders we have in Nigeria, especially when the party in power, the APC, has prided herself as being in the majority. 32 governors have defected and are now members of the president's APC. They also have about more than 80 members in the Nigerian Senate. They have, recently, about 28, 27 House of Reps member has jumped ship joining the APC, which gives them a total control and places them at an advantage position. But the question will be, why is the APC jittery, and why are they trying to put fire in other political parties, as if I can borrow the words of the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, when he threatened to put fire in any state that the governor of that state meddles in the affairs of Rivers politics. Then moving forward, the opposition political party sees this as an act of fear, an act that the APC is also jittery and might be in a very disadvantaged position given the life of Nigerians as of today, economically, security-wise. We are not oblivious of the killings that happened on Palm Sunday at Jos Plateau State, the kidnapping of 13 celebrants in a wedding gathering, and the killing of 13 and the adoption of several others unaccounted for at the moment. The insecurity ravaging Kwara State, which have been a state that have been very quiet since the insurgency began in Nigeria. A lot of questions, a lot of permutations. Nigerians are asking a lot of questions, and Nigerians are seeking for an alternative. David Mark, who is the chairman of APC, speaking at a tense press briefing, challenged the Commission's authority and the legitimacy of its intervention, where he argued that the party's leadership had been constituted lawfully and that INEC actions risk eroding trust in the electoral system. Mark's message was very clear and very loud. The move not only threatens the internal functionability and functionality of the ADC, but raises serious questions about the impartiality of the nation's electoral machinery, the Independent National Electoral Commission. Here, the question would be, is the document that the former INEC chairman, Yakubu Mahmood, left as a handover note to Amupiten is no longer valid? The about 8 times meeting that ADC alleged that they held with INEC before the recognition and the proper handover from Raf Musu, who was the chairman of ADC and the founding father of ADC, that must be taken into account. That those documents and those minutes of the meeting that are in INEC's custody are no longer relevant. And when INEC is talking about judicial proceedings, which judicial proceedings is INEC talking about? INEC that should be an umpire is now becoming a partial umpire in a case where INEC shouldn't even be a player but a respondent in bringing out the facts and the documents that they have to back whatever transpired before that smooth transition from the Ralph Nwosu-led NWC of the ADC before June to the David Mark-led ADC at the moment. Then if INEC is arguing that there is a substantive court proceedings or legal battle, then the question will be, who is the shadow person that is fighting the ADC? The National Working Committee of ADC resigned, and it resigned honorably and without being pressurized. The Rafiu Bala, whom I didn't want to mention his name in order not to give him a lot of credibility, but for the sake of this in-depth and beyond the news analysis, we look at it critically, that it has surfaced that his resignation letter was dated 18th of March. 18th of May, he wrote it on the 27th of May. And the case he instituted at the lower court was on the 2nd of September, while INEC had already recognized after the whole meeting far back in June 2025. They have recognized David Mark and el-rufai as the pilots of ADC. And then Bala Rafiu suddenly woke up from his slumber and filed a case. And recall that he's a national deputy chairman. He was not the chairman, and he was duly resigned his position, and INEC was copied. The ADC led by David Mark was copied, and again, the facts are laid there for Nigerians to see. Then, if INEC is talking about there is a legal dispute, the question will be, which legal dispute? Emanating from where? Somebody INEC had already accepted his resignation as an NWC member of the ADC. And again, on the 9th of September 2025, the National Working Committee of ADC was duly constituted. So the question will be, if the appeal court have said maintain status quo antebellum from May till June of 2025, means that the person who is the recognizable party chairman of ADC was or is Senator David Mark, and the National Secretary is Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, according to the documents that INEC have, because INEC will first of all recognize them before they will be constituted. Because we recall that in the Nigerian electoral process, anything you're doing, INEC must come and monitor that for it to have a legal backing so that INEC will recognize it. And ADC did all those things and followed the procedure. The question will be, is the person playing the piper dictating the tone? INEC is appointed by who? The INEC chairman is appointed by who? And which institution ratifies it? And who is now, playing the piper? So the question is hanging in the balance. This political tension has been accompanied by a notable increase in security around INEC office. Their headquarters in Anambra, in Abuja, has seen increase in security agency operatives guiding it, because the INEC and the All Progressive Congress, the APC, is also thinking of an unrest, and people can take to the street. Heavy police and military presence seen around INEC headquarters in Abuja underscores the volatility of the situation, which INEC has found herself, with authorities clearly anticipating protests and counter-protests from citizens and the party loyalists alike. Meanwhile, the ruling All Progressive Congress has framed INEC's action as a procedural matter, arguing that internal party disputes necessitated the Commission's intervention and that the move reflects legal consistency rather than political favoritism. This defense, however, has done little to quell the fears among opposition ranks or the general public about the integrity of the electoral process. You know, when APC becomes a judge in their own case, so one will ask, what is the interest of APC even when there is an internal crisis within a political party, and when the procedure towards handing over from Ralph Nwosu to David Mark and Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola were very clear to the blind and very laudable to the deaf. And you're talking about legal consistency. Which legal consistency are you talking about? That INEC should be the interpreter of or what they call preempting the minds of the courts when the outcome of the final adjudication have not been made. So INEC is positioning herself as a legal umpire in this case, if you ask me. I don't know about you. At its core, this dispute is about more than party leadership. It is a litmus test for the resilience of Nigeria's democratic institutions. It raises pressing questions about the capacity of the electoral bodies to act impartially, which I don't know where your stance are, whether they are partial or impartial. The space for opposition politics in a polarized environment such as Nigeria, and the protection of citizens' right to participate freely in political activities has been put to a very serious question. Observers note that the outcome of this crisis will not only affect ADC's immediate fortunes, but will set a precedent for how opposition political parties are treated in future elections, thereby shaping the political landscape beyond 2027. We know what we call in the legal parlance legal precedents. So if this is allowed to stand, if one man whose resignation letter is there in the public domain, is there for the world to see, is coming out again and saying that I did not resign. I don't know. In one breath, Rafiu Bala was saying that he was pressured into resignation. I don't know where that holds water in any legal confrontation. I don't know who will take up that kind of litigation to defend him when there was no gun pointed to his neck, and he did not cry that when he was writing in his resignation letter, he did not impute it that I'm making this resignation under duress. I wonder what those people take Nigerians for. It's really mind-boggling, to say the least. You know, so if Nigerians don't stand up and nip this in the bud, it is not going to be 2027 alone. We could recall what happened in 1983. I may not have been around then, but I'm a student of history. 1983, the political imbroglio, political upheavals, ended or accumulated into the military taking over from Shehu Shagari. Fast forward to 1992, the same scenario played out where political parties, political actors, politicians, decided to shoot themselves on the foot after the election of governors, because I could recall someone like late Evans Enwerem, late Ogbonnaya won an election in Abia State, Evans Enwerem in Imo State, and all that. And even the current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was elected the senator then, but he was not sworn in. It was this same political brouhaha, as the way we call it, that cumulated into the annulment of the June 12, 1993 general elections. And we are not taking history into account. What could repeat itself 2027? I'm just a political prophet. I'm not saying anything will happen, but Nigerians should learn from history. Analysts warn that unless this is handled transparently and judiciously, the dispute could erode public trust, discourage voters' engagement, and also exacerbate political polarization at a time when national unity is very crucial. Looking ahead, the resolution of this crisis will likely hinge on court rulings and behind the scenes negotiations between party factions and political stakeholders. The question will be here, what does Rafiu Bala want? Who is playing the piper for him and who is dictating the tune? What is certain is that Nigerians are witnessing a defining moment in the nation's democratic journey, one where the actions of institutions, leaders, and citizens alike will likely shape the credibility or otherwise and the inclusiveness of the political process. ADC's crisis is a sharp reminder that democracy is fragile, just like I've explained, that those political actors, and especially those of them that have been around for 4 decades, are they not learning from history? Do they not know the dangers this could portend, assuming without considering that ADC, the leadership is derecognized, and the faction loyal to the president and the APC is recognized, just like the ADC now, with the recognition of Rauf Aregbesola and David Mark, they have no leadership structure at all. And if they play to the gallery, they will be fighting against time in conveying and going ahead with their national congress, where they will ratify David Mark and Rauf Aregbesola and elect other leaders of the party that will pilot their affairs for a given period of years. And again, for David Mark and those in ADC have said they will be going ahead with their planned congresses and they want not, because they see those things as a distraction in trying to let them beat below the time. As the country moves closer to the 2027 politics, the political actors here and the electorate will likely face an urgent challenge, ensuring that the electoral processes remain open, fair, and genuinely reflective of the will of the Nigerian people. Nigerians, you have had it. We have tried to dissect, analyze. Some of the questions are now thrown back at you. Are you going to sit in your house, in the comfort of your home, that nothing is happening, whatever they like, let them do? But I want to remind you, wherever you're watching from, that it is the government that shapes the lives of the people. And your vote counts. If your vote don't count, they will not come and give you 2,000, 5,000 to collect your PVC, or even ask you to get the serial number in your PVC, on your PVC. So I want Nigerians to know that the die is cast, and the earlier we move in quickly to take back our electoral rights, the better for us Nigerians. In this unfolding drama, every decision, every negotiation, every protest carries weight. The nation is watching, the citizens are listening, but the citizens should not only listen, they should engage in, they should engage in non-violent process and act that could, bring back their electoral rights, that could make the government to listen, because protest is part of democracy. Peaceful, well-organized protest is part of democracy, is part of our democratic norms. So citizens, party members, civil society groups who have also lent their voice on this should not only talk, they should go into action. Mass protests, peaceful, as we advocate from here, but let them hold the government accountable. It is their right, it is their duty. It is not for only the political actors, because whatever decision the government takes at the end of the day, whoever emerges as Nigerian president, as we see now, you're paying a lot of tax. Fuel subsidy removed, we are not seeing the money. Monies repatriated from Abacha's loot, nobody's seeing it. A lot of things happening in Nigeria. You hear monies have been recovered from EFCC. EFCC have recovered money. Some people are going into plea bargain, like the one we saw the former minister did few weeks ago. Plea bargain, and the person pockets the stolen wealth. So are citizens going to stay aloof? The message here is the outcome will speak volume about Nigerians' commitment to democratic integrity in the years to come, as any action taken by the government will make or mar our existence and collective sensibility as Nigerian citizens. Thank you for watching. Make your informed opinion and answer the questions that are begging for answers, and be active participants in the Nigerian electoral process as we head into the 2027 general elections.